What's up, and welcome into another edition of the Nightcap. I'm Matthias Schwarzkopf, looking for downfield passes in all the wrong places. And with me is Levi Stevenson. He thinks the special teams is good. What's going on?
It seems like they are. I don't know. In our Discord, I said at the beginning of the season, I said special teams is bad, and the beatings will continue until morale improves. And after week one, we were like, can the beatings cease? And I said no. It's one data point. Beatings will continue until morale improves.
Morale has not improved.
Morale has not improved. So we've done a second week now where we've had we've seen 2 games in a row now, especially against Iowa, that the special teams has been good. However, I am sorry to inform that our followers / people in the Discord that beatings will continue until morale is improved, because morale is not fully improved just yet. You cannot make up 6 or 7 years of special teams futility in 2 games. So, now, special teams is bad until further notice.
The missed field goal or the blocked field goal was bad, but I also that wasn't the kicker's real problem. Because the guard got blown up. I don't remember who it was. Got blown up. Absolutely, he got actually obliterated to allow that pressure inside to get that kick block. So it was
that's a fluky. That's a fluky thing to me. I don't see that as like a thing that I'm worried about.
Yeah, if you were getting blown up that bad on a field goal, you get that guy out of there forever.
Yeah, that's not a person you put on special teams at that point.
Normally, a lot of the times, like backup linemen come in on kicks like that.
Right.
And yeah, you could tell, obviously. So shape up, boys. Shape up.
Mm-hmm. Fred wants to know how many games it takes until special teams is how many good games they got to have until special teams is not bad. I don't know the answer to that, but we'll know it when we see it.
Believe it or not, special teams is not our problem right now.
Special teams is not our problem.
Defense is not the problem.
Defense has never been the problem.
The offense continues to be a problem. I've made a TikTok.
You made a TikTok?
About, I could probably pull it up.
Disgusting.
I made a couple TikToks.
I know you have, because you're
about
19 years old.
Listen here, Linda. All right.
19's probably too old.
Listen,
people just teenagers. Teenagers are the ones using TikTok.
No, it is definitely not. There are plenty of the older generation who
TikTok is poison.
Your mom's poison, but we still love her.
Yeah, just because she makes good drinks.
No comment. In respect for Mother Stevenson.
I was saying she might be watching. She come beat your ass.
Listen, I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna find this TikTok as I'm scrolling through our Slack right now of a bunch of Aaron Rodgers injuries. Oh, look at it! Wouldn't you believe it? Here it is. Can I do this? You probably can't even hear it. Never mind.
I think you can, but
we can give it an old college try.
You can give it the old college try if you want.
Oh, looks like
no.
Oh, here we go.
This is fantastic radio.
Look at this. I don't know. Probably won't be able to hear it, but we'll try.
Nope. I can't
hear
it. Nope. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so basically it's Vince Vaughn saying what we need to do is get our composure and not point fingers, and then he points the finger at the Iowa State offense.
The slack has been exposed.
Actually, nothing. Believe it or not, nothing bad.
Nothing bad on the screen.
Nothing bad.
Congratulations, you found the one. You really threaded the needle on that one.
Some might say that had more pop than Aaron Rodgers' Achilles. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of feel bad for him though, because he's probably done. Like I assume he's going to retire.
Same.
Like that's kind of sad, because it's a Hall of Famer that seemed like he had kind of found a new lease on life.
I was kind of chuckling at all the Iowa State fans mad about how not so many carries that Breece Hall got. I mean, the dude is basically, he was listed as questionable on the injury report.
He's coming back off a torn ACL. I mean, you got to ease him back into it. I mean, yes, you're correct. Breece Hall did bust off 109 yards on 2 carries, but that's enough work for Breece Hall. Like 109 yards of running in an NFL game is enough.
He's
for a
in the
first-year
top
number.
2 of the rushing of the NFL for
Two carries, yeah.
he had a total of 10 touches in second in the NFL rushing behind Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he'll be all right. So next week we'll bump those touches up to 12, 15.
10, right. 10 or 12 probably, but I mean they gave Dalvin Cook a lot of work. But
well, I mean, rightfully so, because
kind of, but like
that's why they signed him, because they didn't want to rush Breece Hall into
right.
And on the assumption that they didn't have to feed Breece Hall because Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. Now Aaron Rodgers is not there. They're going to have to feed Breece Hall.
To be honest, like Dalvin Cook looks kind of washed. Like he's just not what he used to be, which is unfortunate because he's like what 27. Like he's not
really
even
look at his stats over the time in Minnesota. He maybe had 2 years that really popped out.
Yeah, well, like because he's not even that old.
And they were the silly goobers that gave a running back a second contract.
28 year. I mean, he's only 28, but so you're talking about a 28-year-old that's kind of looking like he's kind of half washed up, but like he's not what he was like, because like when he came out of Florida State, like, and he showed up, he was like really like he was really jukey and stuff like he looked like he could just bang, 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 made like lightning fast cuts.
It's the life of the NFL running back.
Yeah, and that's what's kind of impressive about David getting a big contract now on his third contract.
No, this would be David's second contract.
Oh, and okay. This is
by all accounts, it's not a big contract.
It's not a huge contract, but it's enough. Like, I mean, he's making decent enough money or whatever as a second contract running back in the NFL or whatever. If he gets one more, if he gets one more short contract after this, I mean, he's already made enough money. He's already created generational wealth within him.
David will play out his contract with the Lions 2 years, and then he'll bounce around for 3 more years in the league after that with multiple teams.
Yeah,
and that will be the end of David.
Yeah, which is kind of depressing because David he's only 28 or something like that. He's
same thing's going to happen to Breece Hall. It's just the life of the NFL.
It just is. Back. Yeah, it just kind of is what it is with the running back situation. That's why it makes sense for them to leave. That's why it made sense for both of them to leave their junior years. Would it have been great to have David around for another year so that Breece could have sat behind David for a year in 2019, and then Breece, starts taking off in 2020 and then plays through last season? Yeah, sure, that'd have been great. But you can't really do that if you want to try to like maximize your earning potential as a running back when you are literally skipping out on millions of dollars. So. But
speaking of running the ball, as depressing as it is, the Iowa State Cyclones cannot run the ball, and they are averaging 3.8 yards per carry, and that is I think that might be just a slight increase from the 3.3 yards per carry a season ago. And for fun comparisons, and I just put this in the game preview just for funsies, in 2020, Iowa State averaged 5.5 yards per carry. Obviously, Breece Hall is your running back. That factors into it a little bit. And also, Iowa State this season is averaging 5.1 yards per pass, which is down 0.9 yards from a season ago. For funsies and comparison, in 2020, Iowa State averaged over 7 yards per pass.
Right now, Iowa State is averaging 3.9 yards per play. That is horrific.
Not winning formula when you have the 116th ranked passing offense, the 106th ranked rushing offense, and the 111th scoring offense. They are literally, along with Iowa, I believe, if you look at this, let's just scroll down to the bottom. Iowa is 2 spots below them in a lot of these categories for offense. And so here we are. We spent all of our time last season making fun of Brian Ferentz and the Iowa offense just long enough to see ourselves become them.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Not great, Bob. No. And I get it. You played Iowa's defense, which was literally number 1 in a lot of categories the season ago, is going to be right up there again this season. And there wasn't a whole lot of plays against UNI, but the early indicators is there is not a whole lot of improvement. I have not seen anything from this Iowa State offense schematically or player-wise that is proving me that this season offensively will be any different than a year ago.
No. I mean, actually, I was looking at yards per play. Iowa State is actually somewhat significantly below Iowa in yards per play. We are 121st and they are 110th.
Yep.
Yeah. So as far as that go, I mean, like you're right. Schematically, I've seen absolutely nothing up to this point to suggest that the ceiling for this offense is anything anybody can be proud of. I mean, it's going to be a miserable year on offense. I mean, truly, the only thing that changes here is if some point a switch flips and they just decide, you know what, screw it, we're going to start throwing deep. I mean, that's obviously never going to happen. But I mean, you can't. I mean, I'd have to go back and actually physically count them, but I mean, there's no way they ran less than 15 to 20 out routes, just quick out routes. I mean, like it's got to be at least 50. It's over a dozen for sure.
The out route is the new crossing route.
The out route's a new crossing route, which sucks big time. I'd rather have crossing routes because at least crossing routes are a fairly low risk pass. They're a really easy throw. Even if it does get picked off, there's a low risk that it's going to get returned.
And the out route is extremely risky when you don't have a strong arm.
It's also it's a difficult throw. That's a really hard throw to make. And you're taking your young quarterback and you're trying to get him in rhythm by forcing him to make one of the hardest throws you can make in short fields. And not only that, but you're doing it so much that I was just sitting on it so you can pick it off. I mean, it's just mind-boggling how dumb that is.
He puts a lot of air into those out routes.
He does not zip it.
Led to the pick six that we saw.
Yeah, that was one of the factors. The other big one was that Cartavius' route was shit, and
he was looking right at the.
There is no reason whatsoever that Cartavius Norton should be running routes. We heard all off through the camp and all that about how good of a route runner Carson Hansen was. If you are insisting on having a running back in that slot position there, put Carson Hansen or Abu Sama, whoever, I don't care. All of them can catch better and run routes better.
I think Carson Hansen blew his one opportunity.
He did. I think he did too, unfortunately.
And that's another problem is we're dropping 7+ passes a game. I think it was at 7. I think it might even been just a touch more on 7 drop passes. But
there's a certain point with this offense where you can sit there and be like, well, we could do this, but like the whole thing's shit. Everybody's playing like shit. Like the offensive line is shit. The receivers are shit. Like the running backs seem like they're fine, or like Abu Sama especially seems pretty good. Cartavius Norton, I'm not entirely 100%. I'm not sure what to do with Cartavius Norton because he seems promising, but he's also like kind of one dimensional as a running back.
He has to have the holes up front to run.
He does. Like he can't make it. He can't make something out of nothing. He just doesn't have that ability. And Sama seems good, but he's really young or whatever. Rocco.
How bad are the receivers on the depth chart behind Jalen Knoll that we continue to get?
I don't think
drops a game from Jalen Knoll. That
I don't think it's a matter of quality that's behind because there's two things here. There's two kind of like branches to this. There's one, I really don't think it's necessarily an issue of quality behind him because the staff likes to lean on guys that they've had there. Jalen Knoll's starting his 3rd year in a row now. He's got like over 100 career catches already. He's been a fairly productive player so far in terms of just pure quantity of catches. However, behind them, let's just say if somehow Jalen Knoll is the best receiver at that position and the most reliable receiver at that position, now you have to look at why is our receiver scouting so bad? Like I'm not sure what the answer is to because like I said, I'm not a professional scout or anything like that. So I don't know what Iowa State, and I don't know what Iowa State's prioritizing or any of that. Like, I don't know. I haven't talked to them or whatever. So I don't know what Iowa State prioritizes in their recruiting scouting because it's kind of all over the place. For a while, they went after the tall guys, basically trying to find an Alan Lazard every class. And then they got away from that. And now they're just like a bunch of just general athletes. You know what our receiver scouting has been, our receiver recruiting has been? It's basically been exactly the way that Steve Prohm built his basketball team, which is a bunch of like decent athletes, decent long athletes with virtually no discernible skill, and a very low ceiling, and they're just incredibly raw players that you just got to hope you can develop, and you're hoping you can turn them into something. Obviously did not work for Steve Prohm, and it's currently not working for Matt Campbell in this football team. But assuming, like, if we can just say scouting is not the problem and there is talent on the roster at this point, I really do think it's their stubbornness and willing and their propensity to lean on veterans, especially ones that have produced a lot. And that's what Jalen is. Jalen has produced a lot. He's played a lot of games and stuff like that. But I don't know if they've talked to him and said, hey, or like this has got to change, or you're not going to play as much, or if I don't think so either. But like, or I don't know what it's going to take for them to truly sit back and reevaluate that spot on the depth chart and say, is Jalen the right guy here? Like, is right now, is his psyche so fucked up that like he's just got the yips basically? You know, is that what's going on here? Because he dropped an unbelievable amount of passes, and like not just like shucks, I dropped one here. It's like he dropped like a bunch of passes. Clearly, it seems obvious to me that he's in his own head. There's currently something psychologically wrong there.
Without really going back and like counting them all, but I am assuming at this point in time, based on kind of what I remember, they are up. Jalen Noel himself is at least at 6 drops.
Oh, easy,
5 or 6.
Easy. No question about it. I mean, like, I hate to bag on the guy because, like I said, he's caught a lot of passes for Iowa State, but like, there's a certain point where like what you did, you know, Jalen Noel catching a bunch of passes in 2021 and 2022. Don't catch passes now. Like like him catching 100 passes up to this point doesn't mean he makes the next catch. I mean,
we are in a time frame of Iowa State football where improvement has to happen this season, and you have to factor yourself into a "what have you done for me lately?" category.
Absolutely.
And then the same thing goes for the NFL. Is, you know, the NFL obviously has shorter leashes just because there isn't a 4-year.
Well, that it's professionals, and you can,
yeah, exactly.
It's a different vibe,
but when you, I wouldn't say like no matter what happens this season, Matt Campbell is going to have a job at Iowa State next season. But let's say this season goes without a bowl game, and then next season you are literally coaching for your job at Iowa State, because if you go 3 seasons in a row without like any extreme improvement, right?
If we're bad this year and we're looking to be, and we're probably going to be like, if we get to the end of this year and we decide 2024, we're probably going to be bad again.
Yeah. So you have to.
We're having a weird conversation.
One. And by all means, I am not saying Matt Campbell needs to be fired.
No.
I'm looking ahead because of what could happen this season. Let's say you finish 4-8 again this season. People are going to start barking, but we understand that Matt Campbell is going to be coaching the team again in 2024. Now that's where you have to. It's make a bowl game or shut up. I still think this season is make a bowl game or shut up, because you know we've been hearing about how recruiting.
What do you mean by or shut up?
Like, okay, put up or shut up. Kind of scenario.
You think that a bowl game should still be the expectation?
Yeah, it should. Okay. Rewind 4 or 5 years ago. What did Matt Campbell say?
Bullshit teams care about 6 and 6. Absolutely.
Okay, so now we're looking for improvement, and we're like, 4-8 might happen. No, we should never be in the position, based on the recent teams that Matt Campbell's had here. We should never be in a position of saying that, Iowa State could go 4-8 this year again. 2 years in a row. Shouldn't be a thing. Shouldn't be a thing. And you identified, obviously, I get it. We had some problems in the offseason that were out of the coaching staff's control, but you also, with those players that you lost, went 4-8 a season ago. So you're really not, in theory, not losing a whole lot. I mean, you're losing production, obviously, because Hunter Deckard isn't like uber terrible. He's got skill set.
The ceiling for him was very high. If he ever got the mental part of it figured out, the ceiling was pretty damn high.
So, but anyways, we should never, ever be phrasing in a sentence with the current state of what the coach is or what we think he is and what we know the recruiting classes or what they appear to be. Never be talking about 4-8 ever. I get it. It might happen once in a blue moon, which it did last year. That's your once in a blue moon. And if you are modeling yourself and whether we like it or not, this Iowa State program is sort of modeled after Iowa. They have their 4 and 8s once in a while, but then they also go 7, 8, 9 years without even worrying about it. So now there's a distinct possibility that 4 and 8 is still on the table for this season. Obviously it is, because you're 1 and 1.
I would call it a probability at this point.
I think it's unacceptable. Really, it really is unacceptable. And the way that you identified problems in the offseason, one with the coordinator, the offensive line coach, and here we are week 2 with the same bullshit happening.
What's the hardest part about this is that, yeah, he made all those changes or whatever, like things need to be pointing in a different direction, and right now they're not. The sucky part is it's impossible to know without knowing what's going on behind the walls. But like things like the offensive line, we knew that was probably not going to be a 1 game fix. Like the attitude. No. Hold on. I know where you're going. I know where you're going with this. So let me finish here. So, and like we kind of all thought that Nate Scheelhaas taking over was going to be a more aggressive thing or whatever like that. Christopher, he says we lost 5 expected starters. You're correct, but yes, but the people that we lost outside of Remsburg, I don't think had safe jobs. Like I don't think they were first on the depth chart last season, but I don't think they were remote shoe-ins to be starters this season, including Hunter Deckers.
We lost 5 starters. Great, from a 4 and 8
from
team.
A 4 and 8 team.
Historically bad offense.
Yeah.
Save me with the bullshit excuses with that. I hate that. We lost some starts. I don't care. We lost starters from a shit offense. Throw it out the window.
The hard part, the hardest part about this and trying to figure out what exactly the level of urgency should be right now is that we don't know how far along the development cycle these different things are. Like we don't know how quickly Nate Scheelhaas is picking. Like if this is just what Nate Scheelhaas is as an offensive coordinator, totally with you. This is not remotely acceptable. If he's still just trying to kind of get his sea legs under him and he's trying to coordinate that with an offensive line that's trying to get their shit together and a young quarterback trying, like if he's being held back quite a bit in his play calling by the stuff that's going around in the other position rooms that he's not a part of, then I can, then it's easier to look at it and say, it's understandable that what we're being super conservative. And then part of it too is we also can't see what Rocco Becht practice is like. We can't see what practice is like. We can't see what JJ looks like in practice either. We can't see, like, maybe he's a practice all-star, but we saw it against you and I.
Christopher, you're going to get me fired up here real quick because
he's right. He is right. It's a shit offense that a bunch of key coaches on offense lost their jobs because it was so bad.
I'm going to go on a rant here.
I'm not done yet.
No. This is building up now. Christopher's got me.
Let it stew for another 30 seconds. Right. So the problem is we don't know what Rocco looks like in practice. We can't see what JJ looks like in practice. We saw him in a few snaps against you and I, and he looked a little deer in the headlights. I mean, he made a couple really easy throws, but then there was a couple times where he saw one read, wasn't open, pulled it down and ran. And we saw that he is not immobile, but he's not a running quarterback. And he just kind of looks like a big baby deer. And that's what makes it really hard to evaluate exactly where things and exactly what the trajectory looks like for the rest of the season. Cause we just don't know. We just don't know enough about this because it's just so conservative that we just don't have anything to go on. And that's what's the most frustrating part. Like, it's not like we basically don't know what Rocco looks like throwing the ball downfield. We don't really know. They took a couple shots against you and I. One of them connected. 2 of them were a little long. And other than that, we haven't really seen him throw the ball past 10 yards past the line of scrimmage. If he truly can't do that, then you have to give JJ a run on Saturday, period. You have to. If Rocco can't throw more than 10 yards down the field right now confidently, you have to give JJ some run, because that, I mean, you cannot possibly hope to run a successful offense with a quarterback that you don't trust to throw the ball 10 yards downfield, that you don't trust him to throw for a first down. Like, if that's where you're at with the quarterback position, you need to try something else, period. There has to be urgency. And then that long drive at the end of the game, whatever, when they took for fucking ever to score, like he had the explanation that said we wanted to take our time and do it right and score, instead of going too fast and getting and screwing it up and not having an opportunity to score. I get it. The problem is that if the minimum amount of time it takes you to score a touchdown is like 8 minutes, you are so far behind the 8 ball, it's not even fucking funny. You have no hope as an offense if you can't trust your quarterback to throw more than 10 yards down the field, and your version of going just like not you're going as fast as you can without screwing something up is an 8-minute drive in the late in the fourth quarter when you need points now. The thing's so far fucking gone, it doesn't even matter at that point. Okay, Matthias, go ahead.
All right, Christopher. Christopher says it's hard as a new QB. Yeah, I agree. That is not great either. But I'm gonna start one with the quarterback just real quick. I am, for one, not blaming any of this on Rocco Beck, right? No, he is doing what this coaching staff is asking him to do. Also, his toolbox as a quarterback is extremely limited in comparison to maybe what JJ Cole could be or what Hunter Deckers had in his arm. Rocco Beck, in terms of a college quarterback, is a game manager that is trying to limit mistakes. So not blaming Rocco Beck in this whatsoever, but he's extremely limited. Also, the play calling kind of has failed him in the last 2 weeks. Now, let's go to the starters, the 5 projected starters that we lost. I personally do not claim Jake Remsburg as an official starter because he has been unavailable more than he's been available at his time during Iowa State due to injury. The best ability is availability. Jake Remsburg never had it. We've been reshuffling offensive lines because of his injuries. Now, so toss him out the window. Let's go to our 5 starters that we have on offensive line right now, because this is the biggest problem in this Iowa State offense as it stands today. We spent the entire offseason hyping up this Ryan Clanton as the offensive line coach because he was going to bring toughness, violence, and the ability to develop offensive linemen into NFL caliber linemen. Through 2 games, our rushing offense is putrid, which we have talked about. How do you become good at rushing the ball? Is behind a good offensive line that is violent, tough, and the ability to beat the shit out of people up front. We are blocking in the run game like a bunch of blind mice that have no strength whatsoever. Our offensive line is a bunch of weak motherfuckers. And I hate to say that because they could all kick my ass in the parking lot right now if they wanted to. But it is an extreme problem that this violence that they have preached for 4, 5, 6 months now is nowhere to be found. They are about as soft as they were a season ago as they are now. There is no violence up front. When I talk about violence and punching people in the mouth from the offensive line, you are blowing people off the ball. We are getting blown into the backfield. Daryl Simmons on one run play he's trying to just seal off a guy, got blown 4 yards into the backfield, blew up Norton. He had nowhere to go, bounced it back to the other side, which if you're bouncing outside on Iowa's defense, you're going to lose more yards. What happened? He lost at least 7 yards on a run play. If your guards and the interior offensive line are getting bitched up front, and pardon my French when I say this because it's pissing me off, it's a problem. And your good offensive line starts from the interior out. You build from the inside out. If your centers and guards cannot block and are getting blown up, nothing good is happening. So why did we hype up this? We do this every year. The offensive line is going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I told myself, and then you can go through our Slack channel, that I am not going to believe anything until we show it. And through 2 games, our offensive line it might be worse in run blocking schematics than it was a season ago. They are moving 0 people off the line. Now, I'll give them a little bit of credit on this. Is the pass blocking has been pretty good, so they are doing good there. But in order to make a young quarterback successful, you have to be able to run the ball more than 3.8 yards per carry, and we are not doing that. And something's got to change. These guys have to move people off the ball. And if these 5 guys that are currently out there are not doing it, like Tyler Miller is supposed to be our best offensive lineman. There are plays that he is making high school senior mistakes out there. Fix it.
Well, and part of it too is that one thing the running game is suffering from as well is a complete and total lack of creativity in how to
Also
do the
that.
running game. I mean, virtually everything is an inside zone play where Rocco makes it look like it's read option, but never ever keeps it. Just like we saw with Brock his senior year and Hunter Deckers last year. If you're never ever going to tuck it with the quarterback and run it with the quarterback, don't even try. Stop fucking around with the stupid fucking fake read options that they never pull out because nobody ever bites on that shit ever. And
there are more than 2 ways to run the ball. Use your wide receivers in the run game. I don't just get some creativity.
We saw some stuff we saw some stuff under center against UNI. Why? I mean, where did that go?
That's the second problem in this. And coach with you have a pair. Because right now the cards are
we've been coaching small. We've been coaching small. So Chris, so your second question there is, can you evaluate Rocco if your O-line is as bad as you suggest? The evaluation on Rocco for me is he's doing what he can with what he's given. Yes. I'm not upset with Rocco. He hasn't made any catastrophic mistakes or anything like that. He's been fine. He's been what he needed to be.
And to that first question, there is not an entire change of coaching schematics offensively for this team to adjust to.
Right. So that I think that's what's making people angry more than often is it doesn't appear that anything changed on offense.
The run blocking schematics are exactly the same. We brought in the offensive line coach to adjust the attitude and the development of these offensive line within the scheme that is already present. There is no change because Nathan Scheelhaus is brought up in the Matt Campbell era of coaching offense. They are not going to allow him to come in and reinvent the entire offense, especially as a first-year offensive coordinator.
As much as they should.
There is no schematic difference to this run game whatsoever. There is no time to adjust. They should have been adjusted a year ago to what this is. These are the same offensive linemen that are having the same problem.
It almost feels like the way the offense works is Matt Campbell gives them a playbook and then just says call the plays or something like that. They don't have a playbook. They don't have their own playbook or whatever. Nate Scheelhaus doesn't have a whole bunch of new formations or everything. He was given Matt Campbell's playbook and he's just supposed to call it.
And to the second question again, can you evaluate Rocco if the offensive line is as bad as you suggest? The pass blocking for this offensive line has been good. It has. I don't even think they've given up a sack.
No, they haven't. Games. No, I would say it's one of 7 teams in the country that hasn't given up a sack.
So, in that case, you can evaluate Rocco as a quarterback behind this offensive line, but I also do not think it's fair to evaluate him in the terms of what this Iowa State offensive staff has done for him,
which is nothing.
And what these wide receivers have done for him. Now, you can tell that in some cases they're trying to make some easy, 5-yard passes that are quick. Just use Jalen Noel, for example. There was one, I think it was I'm trying to remember which way going down the field. It would have been the second quarter. It was a 5-yard hitch that he ran, stopped, and then Rocco threw it on a dime right in the hands. Dude drops it. Those are the rhythm throws that this Iowa State staff is trying to get him in, but the wide receivers in that case are failing him. But then when those fail,
then he had Carson Hansen going out on a swing route and hit him right in the fucking face mask, and he dropped it.
Flip that the other way. So when the wide receivers fail him, then they're calling totally different routes, and then it's not entirely to the strength of what Rocco is. The out route on the pick six, I'm pretty sure they went to the far side of the field. They might have been in the middle of the field when they snapped the ball, but that's still a pretty far throw, especially for a guy that doesn't have a strong arm, and he still has to put air under it to get it to exactly to the point where they want that out route to be, and that's how they read it and picked it off.
Out routes have to be thrown very precisely and with and it has to be a good zippy, like it has to be a bullet pass. Like that's the only way you can effectively throw an out route.
Like when they make that cut in towards the sideline, that's when the ball is coming out with a laser, right? So Rocco, before that, I'm pretty sure before the ball, when the receiver took that in, he's already letting the ball before the end because he's putting air under it and getting it to the point in time.
There's been 2 games, brand new OC, brand new line coach, brand new QB. They're going to use into the playbook, but they haven't even touched the second page of the playbook. They've called inside zone and they've called short out routes.
Again,
they called one deep pass to Ben Bramer, and that is all they fucking called. They have not touched the second play of the playbook. That is not easing into the playbook. That is playing small.
This is the same thing we've been ranting on for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a new offensive
might have
coordinator.
just jumped in too, but
okay, sorry. Yeah, so Bedazzle, we'll just call you that. It's a new offensive coordinator, but it's not a new system.
It's a
new offensive line coach, but it's not a new system for these guys to block in. The offensive line coach is brought in to change the attitude of the offensive line room and develop more. Okay, the offensive coordinator was changed just to maybe whatever. We don't even know exactly the reason why. Tom Manning was bad at his job, obviously.
At this point, we don't know anything about Nate Scheelhaas as an offensive coordinator because he's called virtually nothing. What we know is that that the offense has been excruciatingly conservative. Like we don't really know what Nate Scheelhaas could do as an offensive coordinator, and we don't know if he is being throttled by Matt Campbell, where he's not allowed to call certain things, or what. We just don't know. Partially because Iowa State is an extraordinarily untransparent football program. We know almost nothing about what happens behind the scenes at Iowa State, and almost nobody does because that program is typically sealed up pretty tight.
This is a ton of the problem by assessed angling TV. We play so conservative and think we can win by our defense, which maybe works 0.9% of the time. In years prior, it worked because we had a little more talent offensively. Now
you had a running game that was reliable. Yeah.
And now you have, and I'm still thinking, I'm still under the mentality that our coaching staff has their backs against the wall. Now, no, by no means they're not going to get fired after the season, no matter what happens. But you still have to coach like you have a pair. There is zero expectations for this offense now. There is zero expectations for this offense when the season started. Why not just go out and throw caution to the wind and just make something happen? I get you want to play ball. It was funny
because before the season, I said that in a bunch of podcasts. I said, if you're ever going to, if there's ever a season to roll the dice and to try to do something, this is it. Because nobody's expecting anything.
I get it. They
did the exact opposite.
You want to play ball control offense. You want to play complementary
Fuck ball control offenses, man.
You want to limit the mistakes and you want to try to win that way. That's fine. Great. But when you can't even play ball control offense properly, it's not going to work.
Ball control offense is great when you have the best running back in school history twice in a row, and you have the best quarterback in school history, the best tight end in school history, the 3 best receivers in school history, all right in a row. You can do ball control all day and night because you can do that.
You have to take risks.
They are still coaching like they have Breece Hall and Charlie Kohler and Brock Purdy and Xavier Hutchinson and Hakeem Butler. They're still calling offense like they have all those people. You fucking don't. Ben Bramer looks great. Maybe he's better than Charlie Kohler. I don't know. But the problem is right now you're not even getting him a shot because you've thrown him 3 passes or whatever. We don't even know if he's going to do anything there.
We became Iowa. That's what happened to the.
We became Iowa. For some reason, we decided to be Iowa, and I have no fucking idea why. So the way I explained this earlier in the Discord, and I like how I explained it. So I'm gonna read it for people. So the way. What's frustrating here is that it's as you play more and more conservatively, the returns on committing fewer and fewer mistakes diminish really quick because there is the lower limit on the number of turnovers that you can possibly commit is above 0. No matter what you do, you could choose to kneel the ball every single play for the rest of the game, and you are still liable to fumble a snap or something like that. There is no such thing as reducing the potential for turnovers to 0. So no matter what, you can play more and more and more conservative, but comes a point where the returns don't make any sense because you hit that one spot where you play so conservative that you are just not generating enough offense where now when you do commit a turnover, even if it is rare, the turnover you do commit is catastrophic because you cannot recover from that because you don't have enough points. You
Sounds
can't do anything
familiar.
about it. So, I mean, like Iowa State has one turnover on the year, and it was literally the one thing. It was literally the play that lost them the game. Period. I mean, that's what it was. They generated a turnover on defense. Great, perfect. Then they threw a pick six on defense, and that was the difference in the whole game. Is that they had a pick that went for points, and we had one that didn't. And the reason is our pick happened 30, 40 yards downfield. Theirs happened on a quick out route, and it was taken to the house immediately because they jumped it because we called so many of them. And that's what happens when you play so conservatively, is that eventually and do it repetitively, where you can start jumping routes, you can start shooting gaps, you can start taking a lot of extra risk. You can take on a lot of extra risk because the downside isn't there. Iowa State had on Saturday hit that spot on the graph where they are playing so conservative that now the one turnover they did give up was catastrophic. It literally lost them the game. Even the turnover battle was even. They didn't even lose the turnover battle, and it still lost them the game because of the turnover they committed, which was 100% the result of them playing excessively conservatively. So, like, there's a certain point where you got, like, against Iowa especially, that offense is so bad. 3 interceptions that happened down 40 yards downfield in their own territory is still better than that one pick six they gave up. Because you know for a fact Iowa's not getting any points on a drive if they have to start on their own side of the field. It's not happening. Like they had one lucky one that got points on Saturday because the running back just happened to break off a long run on one fluky long play. But for the rest of the afternoon, if Iowa had to start on their own side of the field, they were fucked. Like they just were not going to score points. And that's just the way Iowa's offense is. If you throw 3 arm punts on long passes and they all get picked off, that is still a better outcome than one short out route getting picked off and taken back to the house. And if you throw 5 deep balls, 3 of them get picked off, but one of them goes for a touchdown, congratulations. You just swung 14 points the other direction. And like it's just simple risk analysis. Like it blows my mind how bad this staff is at threat assessment and what makes sense in what moment. Like I know there's been times where being super conservative has paid off for them. Like I'm thinking of like 2020 Texas when they were, trying to lock up a spot in the conference championship game or whatever, and they punted with like 2.5 minutes left, and we were all like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And it worked out because they got a stop. They sacked Sam Ehlinger, and they drove down the field like it worked out.
We just don't have the talent to do that.
They don't, but
right now.
They don't. They
develop
don't have
talent.
They didn't have the talent. They didn't have the talent back then to do that consistently. They did it the one time, but like if you tried to run that exact same situation 100 times, they would not win that game more than 50 times.
They had a guy that they could count on. They had 3 guys,
they had
4
Breece
guys,
Hall and Charlie Kohler. Because Charlie Kohler had 2 big long catches on that short drive to like at the end of the game.
So you had 4 guys that you could count on in any game to make that kind of play that this team does not have yet.
Yep.
This Iowa State offense has to find what they have to find a guy, which I'm assuming as of right now it's going to be Jaden Higgins.
But Jaden Higgins seems like he can play. Like if they get him targets, he can make something
now
happen.
I will say that I know they were jockeying for position, but that ball still hit him in the breadbasket that he dropped in the first quarter. Now if he's going to be that guy, he's going to have to make that play. Now he did very similar play in the fourth quarter, make that play where there was a little bit less jockeying for position, but he made the play. So he redeemed himself a little bit. But if he would have made that play in the first quarter, the game might have been a whole lot different too. So there was a lot of missed opportunities out there for sure. Now, I do think the ceiling for Ben Bramer, if they used Ben Bramer, I think he would be better than Charlie Kohler. As far as like what you can do with him down. We don't currently have a guy that's the equivalent of those 4 guys we were just talking
about.
Not
currently.
We're like a Xavier Hutchinson. We don't have a Breece Hall. We don't have a Brock Purdy, and we don't have a Charlie Kohler.
We think Ben Bramer can be a Charlie Kohler, but we don't 100% know that yet or whatever. But we definitely don't have the other 3. and that's the problem.
We have to find it, but we also have to get offensive consistency before then too. So until both of those things happen, I think we're still going to be stuck in this mud. Now, And you would think going against Ohio this coming, I'm going to fast forward to this because we've been ranting.
Yeah,
about Iowa.
Go.
So you would think that the offensive might have a little bit of an opportunity to get some things in rhythm this weekend. Now, I don't, and you can talk about, Levi and I were talking about this before the show, but the strength of schedule for Ohio was what, 89th?
Yeah.
Now, but statistically speaking, in terms of who they have played, the Ohio offense is not getting enough love, or the Ohio defense is not getting as much love as the Ohio offense, which the Ohio offense is really
kind of bad, actually.
It's bad, but they've also not had their main starting quarterback for 1.5 games. So, but he did come back against FAU last week and didn't look all the greatest either. So, so either A, we're going to get the Ohio offense when they're going to finally wake up a little bit, and B, we have a struggling offense going against a better than advertised Ohio defense. Now, I'm not saying like, hey, we should go into Athens and just fold up 10. And I just think if you thought going to Ohio was going to be the breakout offensive performance, I'm not quite sure I'm there yet.
Oh, I'm not convinced that there's any, but I'm not sure that there's a breakout.
I'm also not convinced
there's
that
not
we have
one left on the schedule. I'm like, I mean, that's just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, and see, that's the other thing. You have to go into this game, one, obviously win it, because if you lose this game, it's gonna be another. It's catastrophic, really, because the teams in the Big 12, like, let's use Cincinnati for a fact. They have basically an entire new starters on defense and offensively. An entire new team, and they are better than and they are better than advertised. They are. They beat the shit out of Pitt. Like, and maybe Pitt's not that great this year. Whatever, doesn't matter. They still beat the shit out of Pitt. Pitt's better than Ohio. So
right.
You have to win this game. One, you have to find some consistency offensively and come out of it healthy as well too. So, because then you got Oklahoma State the following week, which they look better than what we thought they would be. I mean, it's a Mike Gundy coach team. People were pretty down on him.
They're going to be fine.
He's not going to go quietly into the night, So you have to come out of this weekend 2-1 with more questions answered on offense than we left a week ago.
I mean,
it's a must.
I will be extremely disappointed if we come out of this weekend. If we go into Saturday and we still see a super, super conservative offense that just does not take any chances whatsoever. I will be extremely disappointed because there's a number of possibilities on why that could happen, but all of them are bad. Maybe it could be they don't have the guys to be aggressive, which is extremely disappointing and depressing considering how bad the offense is. Maybe they, if they're being conservative because they just are that way or whatever, that's bad. Maybe they haven't adjusted yet. As Fancy Rex here has suggested, they haven't adjusted yet to not having generational players at every position or whatever. That's also bad. If they are still super, super conservative, I mean, they're going to be conservative on Saturday, but if they are as conservative on Saturday as they were last week against Iowa, I'll be very, very
shame on them.
I'll be disappointed and frustrated, and for a number of different reasons. And we won't actually know what the actual reason is, but I don't think it really matters because all of the reasons it could be are terrible. And I don't know, there's a certain point where they got to sit back and say, fuck this. We're going to go out and do something. Or, I mean, are they just going to sit there and just continue to let this shit rot and waste all the progress that they made? Because they after the Fiesta Bowl, we were riding high. I would say it was a dark horse playoff contender. We were like, hell yeah. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, all it is all the entire conversation around Iowa State has changed from this is a team that could this could be one of the top couple teams in the new Big 12 going forward to what's going on. Why is Iowa State shit again or whatever? The narrative is completely changed. The momentum from the Fiesta Bowl is completely gone. We're back to now. I mean, there's people asking if Matt Campbell's on a hot seat. That was an outrageous, that was a completely outrageous notion even just last season.
If Iowa State loses this is from Fancy. If Iowa State loses this game, does that guarantee hot seat for next year? The answer is no. Because they could literally rattle off.
I mean, if they lost this weekend and then rattled off 6 or 7 wins, then
Yeah. Better question on what avoids the hot seat next year? A bowl game.
Something like
'Cause-
you have to see
yeah.
something on offense. Like
And
the offense has to have life.
you have to make a bowl game. That's what avoids any
No,
hot
I
seat
mean at this point, I think like
conversations.
a 5-7 season where the offense is starting to pick up steam towards the end of the year. I think that's fine. I see. I don't think like
why things feel like
to quote Matt Campbell, the arbitrarily defined line at 6-6 of making a bowl game. I don't think is important.
and he says it because it feels like things are starting to heat up a little bit. Things are
does
starting to
feel like
heat
that,
up a little bit
100%.
because
Yeah.
people are tired of this shit.
They are, yeah. I mean, I'm tired of this shit. I was tired of this shit fucking last year.
Like, okay, this we were fed, and I don't. This is so funny because both of my Iowa State and the Bears are so similar in this regard because we keep getting fed bullshit that things are going to change and the same shit happens. Stop talking
Fucking do something.
and do something.
Like, just do
God.
something.
Like
just do
I'm
anything.
I'm tired
Like,
of
call plays like you give a shit about winning a fucking football game. Like
as a Iowa State fan and a Bears fan offensively. I am tired of excuses. I am tired of talking about it. Stop apologizing to the fans and just apologize to us with your actions.
Swear to God, if I hear one more fucking quote about the special teams being bad was a farce, shut the fuck up and win a football game. Like that's like I don't care. Like shut the fuck up. Like,
I'm sorry, we're not
tired of hearing
we're
that.
not gonna talk about the optimism level in this as much as some other podcasts because we just don't give a shit. So
No, I'm not trying to be a bummer right now, but like
no, me either. But it's also it's the reality
what
of the
else-
situation that we are.
How
living
else
in.
are we supposed to look at this situation? Are we supposed to look at it and be like, oh, well, everything's all fucking bright and sunny? No, the offense is still fucking shit, and it might be worse than last year. And there's like right now, there's no reason whatsoever to believe that it's going to be better. That's the situation. How
And
else?
that's why
are we supposed to react?
I'm tired of seeing
Everybody
on
that's
Twitter.
talking on this podcast that's listening to this right now and that's watching it has dedicated probably decades of their lives to Iowa State football, to watching it and supporting it. They went to Iowa State. They're supporters. They might be season ticket holders. Their families. Like my legacy. My family's legacy with Iowa State goes back into the 70s.
Look, I'm optimistic and hopeful that things will turn around, right? But I'm also realistic in this opportunity in this time frame to know and witness that this is shit. And if you want to sit there and believe that okay, it's a new coaching staff on the offense, that's fine. You can believe that all you want, but nothing is schematically any different than a year ago. Okay. And there's zero improvement. And I am not high. And I think Ryan Clan is a good offensive line coach, but right now his stock could not be any lower.
Ryan Clanton.
Yes.
I don't know.
Because when you preach
Yeah.
physical violence and all this other stuff, and when you need that to run the ball, and it is not apparent that is even there, practice what you preach. And they're
my
not doing
only
that.
like hesitation with like dumping on Ryan Clanton though is
I'm not dumping on. I just think the stock is way low.
my only hesitation with that is just because like these aren't his guys or whatever, and like and it might truly be that these guys are just not. They are not predisposed to that mentality. So he's doing
Get him out.
Like I don't disagree with that at all or whatever. But
Get him out.
It may truly just be is that he doesn't have the fucking dogs on the line that he needs.
If you don't have 5 offensive linemen that do not want to get into a fist fight every game, you're not in my eyes, you shouldn't play. I want a guy that is willing to go into a bar and punch a person in the mouth and just say, I'm better than you. We don't have those guys right now.
At a certain point, Iowa State's gonna have to just decide to start playing fuck you football, and they need to win some goddamn games. Like, but that's just what it is. I mean, like, they're trying to finesse their way out of it through a conservative game plan isn't gonna work. We don't have the athletes for that.
Like if Daryl Simmons, let's take him for like I ain't taking him into a bar fight. Dude gets pushed around more than not. Like he may be big, but why am I gonna pick him? No chance. Tyler Miller, I'd still probably take regardless.
Yeah, I'd probably take Tyler Miller. He's a big dude. But I mean, to a certain point, there will come a certain point where this will 100% come down to a willingness to be better than the expectation and to be better than they have been. Because like it's not what they're doing right now. It's not like it's not like anything they're doing is like topping out their potential of what they have for athletes. We know that's not true. We know that they've got, like, especially the receiver room, there are some extremely impressive athletes sitting back there in that receiver room or whatever. If someone can't make a fucking catch, take him out, put somebody else in until you find somebody that can make a catch. I don't care who it is. It can be if there's 3 true freshmen out there and they're making catches, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if your brand new transfer has to sit on the bench because he's not making catches. Jaden Higgins he's not the drops problem here. But if your junior that's played a million snaps for you up to this point is not making catches, take him out. Period. Like you cannot, if you're playing super conservative, you cannot afford to drop first downs and drop touchdowns. You cannot afford to do that. Period. You need every goddamn inch on that field and every single point on that board. Period. You cannot give up anything if you are going to play up as conservative as you are. There is zero opportunity to lose yards and to lose out opportunities that should be yours. If dropping a 3-yard pass is still bad. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, even it might only be 3 yards, but it's still fucking bad.
I do want to say, though, like, we want to find the offensive consistency and things like that. You want to see improvements against Ohio, but I'm also, even before the game's even played, I am willing to toss out anything that happens in the Ohio game completely out the window, because when it's like, the Ohio game matters for the win-loss record and getting into a bowl game this season, yes. But I don't think it matters that much in terms of what they're going to do in the Big 12 play and what they'll see in Big 12 play. They might see things schematically that are the same, whatever. But if you go into Ohio and score 35 points offensively and then go to play Oklahoma State the following week and put up 3, no. So do what you need to do against Ohio this week, but you goddamn better show up against Oklahoma State and do everything we've literally just talked about again.
I don't want to come back I don't want to do this show next week and come back yelling about the same shit. Like, and I know my opinion does not matter one goddamn bit to Matt Campbell or anybody inside those walls. I get it. I understand that my opinion does not matter to them, and that's okay. And it probably shouldn't. Whatever. But guys, if any of you are watching, please, for the love of God,
big cat gif. Figure it out. Shout out to the defense, though. Guys are great.
Yeah, absolutely nothing bad to say about the defense ever. Unbelievable group. And it's honestly the most frustrating part is that we're wasting this defense. Now, granted, there's enough depth on every position that defense is going to be good. It's going to be good forever. As long as John Haycock is there, they're going to be good forever.
I basically put in that 3 things you learned, and then you censored me a little bit just by changing it up a bit about
Fred.
How the defense.
I hope we see JJ this weekend. I really do. I don't
think we're going to.
We might not, but I hope we do. If we don't see JJ, then we have to see something more from the offense out of Rocco.
Because Rocco really hasn't done anything wrong to lose the starting job.
You're right.
Just that
you're
tools
100%
are limited.
Right. You're 100%. Right. So the question is, the entire question is Rocco the reason that we can't open it up, or is something else the reason we can't open it up? If Rocco is the reason we can't open it up, you have to put JJ in, period. Let him take his lumps and be ready for 2024. If he's not the problem, then figure out the other fucking problem and let Rocco be the QB.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. I mean, that is all there is to it. If Rocco's the problem, you can't play him. If he's not the problem, figure it the fuck out.
Maybe they found something in that second to last drive against Iowa.
Probably not. I guarantee we didn't. Because you know why? Because for the last fucking 4 years under Brock Purdy, we always they would go on like a 2-minute drill or a 4-minute drill, and they would just boop 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 right down the field, and they would score in a minute and a half. You know how many times they did
back at that?
The only time they ever did that was when they were rushed. They would never ever run up tempo.
How many minutes did we waste on that scoring drive in the fourth quarter?
8 fucking minutes.
So say you cut that in half. You have 4 minutes. There would have been 6 minutes left in the game after you scored a touchdown.
Yep.
We punted. We got the ball back to Iowa. We stopped them and had 2 minutes left, basically. So we could, in theory, you probably could have had, if you stopped Iowa and didn't get it, you had to punt. and then stop Iowa again, you could have basically had 2 more cracks at it if the
You could've
offense had a little
Oh,
more
absolutely.
tempo.
If they cut that into a 4-minute touchdown instead of an 8-minute touchdown, they absolutely would have had at least one more, if not 2 more extra cracks at it than what they had. No doubt about it.
That's
no
also
question.
now that was a coaching mistake. I get like, and I also see the other side of it a little bit too. Like you got to score regardless. Like you have to get one in the end zone.
Yeah.
So
However,
there was
like
that side, but then
as I said earlier, if the minimum amount of time that your offense has to have to score a touchdown is 8 minutes, something is wrong. You need to fix that. Period. We're not Army. We're not running the triple option. You don't need 15 minutes to score a touchdown. We're playing Power 5 football in the Big 12. If your offense requires more than like 4 minutes to score a touchdown, something is wrong.
Yeah.
How about some Tyler Perkins love? Absolutely. Tyler Perkins has been one of the best punters in college football this year. Period.
Shout out Brock Purdy and San Francisco 49ers.
Absolutely. Shout out to all of the Cyclones in the NFL for making us feel fantastic, especially Brock Purdy. God, Brock Purdy being good for the 49ers is just the best thing ever.
Shout out Patrick Peterson as well.
All right, you ready to wrap this thing up?
Yeah, I'm done being angry.
I'm tired of yelling.
So sorry we're not a Sunshines and Rainbow podcast and looking at the optimistic side some other podcasts out there, but whatever. We're just pissed fans, I guess.
Yep.
We're pissed drunk fans. Get off our ass, all right? All right? Yeah,
absolutely.
if you want to go on the internet and complain about what we say on the internet, then shame on you because you listen to us, all right? That's your own goddamn fault.
That's your own fault. Yeah.
We are not So there was a guy, that's a funny story. Like there was a guy in the Discord at one point in time that was thought that we claimed to be the beacon of everything that Cyclone fans should feel. Like we are not. I will say that right now. Okay. Yeah. Like anything, basically anything we just said on this podcast is literally just Levi and ranting about our own thoughts, right? And you guys just happen to listen to this. Now, if you think that everything we write and say is like what Iowa State athletics should be, like, come on. Like rookies at this point in time. Like you should know what Wide Right Daddy is.
Yeah, I mean, we're just here just having a good time and just trying to be honest. I mean, we're like nobody here is trying to start blow smoke up people's asses. That's not our job.
Also, shout out. So
Matthias, can we like set up parking lot fights for you? Like Fancy Rex wants to fight you. I'd fight you in a parking lot.
Fancy wouldn't last, dude. He couldn't handle the smoke. We just like we could do like the Barstool Rough and Rowdy thing. We'll just like Matthias pissed off at offensive line fights.
There you go.
And just like you don't even know me.
You don't even know me.
I know that you wouldn't be able to fight me. Yeah, you're weak, son. All right, we can donate all the money to the We Will collection.
There you go. We will fight.
Every time the offensive line does not come out with a fire under their ass, we start a fight in the parking lot.
There you go.
Donate the money.
We'll just call it We Will Fight Matthias. And then
patent pending, of course.
Yeah. All right. Wrap this shit up.
For Matthias Schwarzkopf and Levan Stevenson, we hope to come back next week and talk about some better things that have happened on the offensive side of the ball because we know that the defense will be just fine. So until then, make sure you join our Discord. Look out for a few other things on the website as we move on. Hype tapes could probably be extremely depressing this week, but we'll make do with it.
Or actually, it's an inverted hype tape, so it's intended to bring you down emotionally.
In the things that I'm not least looking forward to putting together here within the next 2 days, the hype tape is one of them for tomorrow. So sorry in advance, but I will try my goddamn best.
I'm glad I grabbed the last hype tape that has hope.
I'll air this grievance really quick. I got stuck with the UNI one when half the team is obliterated. And now I'm following a shit offensive performance with basically zero highlights. So I'm going to.
Oh my God. Make the hype tape. All it is just all of the out routes we ran. That's it.
I don't have that enough time to go. I mean, I could literally. If you would have told me that idea like on Sunday, I would have had it done already.
Yeah.
We're cutting it too close.
If Saturday is the same thing and they run a billion out routes, that's the entire hype tape for Oklahoma State. is I'm gonna play like a Nickelback. I'm gonna play Higher by Creed.
Or just do Yakety
It's
Sax.
just gonna be Higher by Creed, and it's just gonna be out routes for 4 minutes. That's all it's gonna be. Can you take me higher? Out route. Pick 6.
Damn. Well, anyways, good show. See you later.